No, I'm not Anna. I guess some of you expected to see Anna here today. We had a last-minute change in the schedule, so that's my disclaimer, a last-minute jump in here. But I'm very happy to be here, and it's no problem for me. I hope you're not too disappointed seeing me, because I'm really happy to be here and talk about something which I really believe is one of the best technology created here in Lund these last years. So let's do a backtrack. I've been in the company for 2 years, but Pharmiva has been on the journey for a long time. We were founded in 2015 here in Lund, and we had a vision that we wanted to develop innovative treatments to improve vaginal health. So during this journey, we've actually achieved a lot of milestones, which is very important to mention. The foundation of the company is the technology that I'm really passionate about. It's a mousse-based technology. It's called Vernivia. And one of the achievements we've done the last year is that we've created a very strong patent on this technology. We've also acquired a CE mark for the first product that we developed from this technology, Vernivia. I'll go into that more later. And we've also did an IPO last year. And we've also now launched this first product here in the Swedish market 13 months ago, last year. So we're very proud to be here today and talk to you. We see ourselves being a startup company in 2015. I'm very proud to be here today and say we are now a scale-up company. So the focus the last year and also in the coming months for us is business development and also building the company pipeline. First of all, we really want to do a global rollout of Vernivia, which is the first product, the commercialized product. But it's also very important for us to handle the value we have in our patent, the Vernivia, the mousse technology. And that's why we've now decided to be more clear about where the value in the company lies. So yes, we are a femtech company. We have a very strong brand on looking into female health. And that's where the commercial side of the company right now is very focused on sale and distribution and doing the global rollout of our product. But what's very important to remember is this unique mousse technology, Vernivia. The patent of this covers all body cavities and also administration on skin. And that is limitless of gender. So it's very important for us to communicate that the value of our technology doesn't only limit to female health. And that's why we now decided to split out in two business areas. We will have the female health area, much more commercialized, and we'll have the Vernivia tech area. And there's a lot of interesting parts of the Vernivia tech area. I won't go into this slide, it's a very heavy slide, but just want to mention that the foundations of this mousse technology is natural substances. And we've also now shown that the mousse has an impact on biofilm. So we've shown in the third patent that we've now have that we actually see efficient degradation of biofilm and also prevention of formation of biofilm. And it's really interesting when you look at this technology again, unlimited of gender, the new therapeutic areas where this could be of use. And of course, this area, Vernivia tech area, business area we're looking into, will be a collaboration, a partnership with other companies that could be a co-collaboration or development into this area. I just want to mention also that we actually have a third leg also on the Vernivia, because we have actually, we know for a fact that Vernivia is a very good drug delivery system. We have already tested Vernivia, and we know it's compatible with other molecules. And again, this could be a very exciting out-licensing opportunity for companies looking for a drug delivery system with active ingredients where we could provide the drug delivery system. And we are actually already in dialogues with companies, and we know the compatibility is there. And all of this is protected within the patent we have. So, looking into the pipeline, we've now made a more strong division with the female health area. I'll go into that bit more afterwards. We have now today the indication of bacterial vaginosis, and we're also looking to strengthening the clinical evidence into looking into the more female health area with Vernivia, the product we have on the market, looking into prevention, but also looking into recurrent bacterial vaginosis. And for the venereal tech area, as I mentioned, as if you know us from earlier, we are also very engaged in the sexual transmitted disease area. And this is also where we see, independent of gender, that it could be a really interesting way forward and potential development area. So now I'll go a bit more into the product we do have on the market, Vernivia, which is, as I mentioned, it's a treatment. It's a medical device, class 2A, for treatment of bacterial vaginosis, and OTC, which you don't need any prescription for. You can buy it online on all pharmacies in Sweden today. And bacterial vaginosis is actually the most common vaginal infection among fertile women. It affects 30% of all women in that target. And the global value of this market value is $1 billion. And it has an annual growth of 4%. What's really interesting to look at is that the standard treatment for bacterial vaginosis today is antibiotics. And you might know that in 2019, the World Health Organization communicated that antimicrobial resistance now is considered one of the 10 most deadliest threats to humans. So what's happening now globally is that we do see that there's a lot of political incentives to reduce the use of antibiotics, and there's a lot of incentive to try to find new products that can replace antibiotics and get these on the market. And that's also what we see as an opportunity for our product during the global rollout. We did a market survey in Sweden with 611 women a couple of years ago, and what we saw was that only 30% of women suffering from this condition seek help. And for us, that just makes the medical need of finding a safe, efficient self-care solution very important. And if you don't treat bacterial vaginosis, there's also a health economic burden, because untreated bacterial vaginosis can cause complications that will give a very health economic burden. So Vernivia, our amazing product, we're so proud of it. It's available in all pharmacies in Sweden almost, both online and in stores. It is the only product available that actually treats the infection, and it actually stimulates the regrowth of the normal vaginal bacterial flora. And why is that important? So I think that most of you guys now know that we have good and bad bacteria both in the gut or the skin. We also have it in the vagina. So what happens when you have bacterial vaginosis, it is that you get an imbalance. So you get too many bad bacteria and you get less of the good. And in the normal treatments today, as I mentioned, antibiotics and antiseptic, you have a very problem using that, because what happens is that you don't only take out the bad bacteria, you take out the good. So a lot of women suffer, unfortunately, get a lot of problem after being treated with antibiotics, that they are more susceptible for new infections, either being reinfected with bacterial vaginosis or getting candida infections or more severe infections. So what we can see in the clinical data that we've had, we know that we are the lactobacillus, which is the soldiers of the vagina, which is actually what helps keep a healthy vagina. They thrive with our product. And that's because our product mimics the vagina's own defense. And this is really important, and that's also how we can see no serious safety concern. We know for a fact that it takes out the bad bacteria, and we see the regrowth. And this is the clinical data we have to prove it. In 2018, we did a proof of concept study on 30 patients. And you can see 3 graphs here. Not going into detail, but normalizing the pH level, that's very important. That's the symptom relief for these women. when you have bacterial vaginosis, you have a rise in the pH, which creates a very strong odor. This is very psychologically and emotionally damaging for women which had this condition. They will stay away from work, they will stay at home, they will avoid any physical interaction. So it's very important for women to get a very quick symptom relief. And that's the really good part of these studies we've done, is that we're one of the quickest symptom relief products on the market. But we don't only treat the symptoms, we actually also treat the infection. And what we're very proud of is the last graph you can see, that we do not harm the natural microbial, the lactobacillus in the vagina. And actually that's something that we've seen in the market, that women are they're very educated about this. So it's very popular, there's a pull from the market. Women are getting more educated, they don't want to use antibiotics anymore, because they understand that it actually can hurt. So this is a very good thing for a product, and we see a good response on this. We also have a current post-market clinical follow-up study ongoing. It's a randomized, double-blind and placebo-controlled study. And the purpose is, of course, to strengthen the clinical evidence for the 7-dose treatment, when we expect it to be ready end of 23. So just rounding up here, we launched the product Vernivia in 2021, 13 months ago. We were a completely unknown brand, so we worked a lot on building the brand. But what's very important to know, the market survey I told you about earlier, is that these women, they will stay at home, they won't seek help. But we know for a fact that over 80% of the target women in the younger age, they will Google their own symptom. That's why it's important for us to have a very strong digital presence and be very successful this year, which building up a presence on all the digital platforms where women are. We've seen an organic spread of our campaign, TikTokers representing the product without even us paying for it, which is very interesting to see that. And now we're looking for an international rollout, a very big focus on these partnership deals that we're in dialogue with, both in Europe, but also looking into the US, where it's a licensing deals, and here in Europe, of course, it's more distribution deals. Yeah.
Thank you, Karoline. You have adjusted, well, not you personally, but you, the company, have adjusted the time plan slightly for this study. How come?
Yeah, thank you. That's a really good question. So when you do a clinical study on a product that's available on the market, and considering that this is a placebo-controlled product, you have to consider, as I mentioned before, having this condition, bacterial vaginosis, you are extremely stressed, and it's a very emotional damaging to have these symptoms. So even though these women can get a free gynecologist appointment and get through it, they still have to take the risk of getting a placebo. So what we're kind of competing, we're seeing the growth in sales and see the pull from the market. But of course, we are competing in a clinical study where we would like them to get it there.
So what do you say to them then to try and convince them, to recruit them to the study?
So yeah, that's one of my biggest passions, also because we need to understand more about women's health, and being part of a clinical study is also being part of increasing the knowledge, because bacterial vaginosis, there's a lot of things that we actually don't know. We don't know why some women are more susceptible than others, so it's also important to talk about these things when we try to recruit women.
Does this delay or adjustment have any financial impact on Pharmiva?
Of course, when you prolong a study, it will cost. All of you knows that a clinical study costs, but I think the value of this study and also or the data that will give us is of course important in the end. Yeah.
You were talking a lot about different markets that you're aiming for, and now you've been launched in Sweden for a while. What are the most important things that you've learned from launching in Sweden?
Yeah, and that's we also released a press release this week where we talked a lot about that. We know the commercial side of the female health area. We also see now that we do believe our product could work well, very well in the wellness area. So been talking a lot about the life science track and getting the clinical evidence. We actually see that women are more inclined to talk about the odor relief and here and now help. So I think that we could have a big chance also in that. And that's interesting because our product is registered as a medical device in Europe, but it doesn't have to be that in other areas. There could be other regulatory pathways, and I think that's a good potential in the product.
Because I'm thinking that the way you talk about female health, that just mentioning the word vagina might in some cultural contexts be much harder than it is in Sweden. How do you prepare different marketing strategies for different markets? Because I imagine they're very different.
Yeah, and of course there are differences. Now I've been working with business development in Pharmiva now the last 8 months, and when I talk to different partners all over the world, there's a lot of things that are also talking about vaginal health, of course, but they are very interesting comparing Sweden, which is our proof of concept market, but we need to consider that Sweden is a liberal country, but for us it actually makes it a higher opportunity because in Sweden we actually talk about vaginal health, but still only 30% seek help. Well, that means that the opportunity to getting good, safe, efficient self-care solutions out in other countries are even higher.
And I see that we have a question.
Yes, thank you very much. I was wondering what has the response been from the end customers after the launch and from clinicians maybe also?
Yeah, so we have we just discussed this yesterday, and I think what's interesting is that you have the end customer and you have the healthcare professions. So in Sweden, the general consumer journey for this product is women seeking help. When they do, they very often they call a barnmorska, a midwife, and they do not have the prescription right for antibiotics, so they have to ship the women further on to gynecologists or general practitioners. And so the midwives are really happy to have a product now that they can recommend. The gynecologists are also very interested because they see this medical need for new products that can replace antibiotics. They also see the problem of using antibiotics over and over again with these women, but of course we are competing with a pharmaceutical. So it's also with the clinical evidence being a medical device. But what we mostly see is that women themselves are very positive, and we see a huge pull effect. And that's actually also, we did a pricing study on the product before we launched it, and we know for a fact that women, they are willing to do a lot to be helped. And our digital presence now, we're getting more and more focused on being direct to consumer. We have this vision of you're getting BV free, one click away. So when they Google their symptoms, the first thing that comes up is our product. Click at home. You'll be relieved the next day. You don't have to see anyone.
Well, I think with that, we say thank you for a very interesting presentation.